So welcome everyone to the UBC Learning Circle. We are so pleased to have you here. My name is Leah Walker and I am the Associate Director for the Center for Excellence in Indigenous Health. And I have the pleasure of facilitating today on this really exciting session on spring snacks and summer treats gathered along the trail with Carrielynn Victor. And how do you say your name? Xemontalot? Xemontalot. So we're going to have a really informative session, and I'd like to acknowledge here that we are on Musqueam territory at UBC, and it's beautiful up there. We have a little peephole of a window, and I'd like to acknowledge all of your beautiful territories. It's a perfect time for medicine and food gathering right now. So what else can I say? I think I'm going to turn it over to you just to let you know the structure. So it's Carrielynn is going to tell us stories. I'm going to ask her to introduce herself. There will be opportunities for you to ask questions, and we hope that you do. So those of you that are on video conference, all you need to do is unmute your mic, and right now it's muted, so you unmute. And of course, those of you on webinar, just type away anytime and I will check periodically for your questions. I also just want to say that the Learning Circle, sometimes participants become upset or triggered, and we don't know how that happens, but we all know, we all come with histories. So please ensure that you have a support system for yourself in advance, or should you need it after. That could be an elder, a trusted mentor, a friend, or a crisis contact number. So just to let you know that. I think that's it. I'm really pleased to see Whiston on there, and L'Aquila, and the FNHA, and Adams Lake on video conference. You look gorgeous. It's so nice to see you. And those of you on webinar, I can't see you, but I'm sure it would be great for you to introduce yourself from where you're from. So I'll just introduce myself very quickly. And then, so my name is Leah Walker, and my mom is Danish, and my dad was English and Nakatma. And my family ties are mostly at Seabird Island, Stalo and Nakatma at Seabird Island. And so I was just there this weekend for a burning, and we had lots of medicines that my aunties had picked, some of the things that you're going to talk about today. So let us begin, I think. So Carrielynn, why don't you introduce yourself?
Elated, Tithala, Eitasqualo, Quilsquatslala, Xemontalot. My English name is Carrielynn Victor. I'm from Cheam, which is directly across the river from Seabird Island, and just recently learned the Implacatmic roots and how that ties to Seabird. So it's nice to meet you, Leah. It's nice to see the distant guests, and it's certainly a pleasure to be invited to share this morning. I have a few things to chat about, and we're going to kind of go with the flow and see how things roll out today.
Awesome. So maybe I could just ask a question about when you started picking medicines, and how did you end SNAPs, and how did you come to learn what you know? And that's probably a long story, but these stories are really great because, you know, many of our relatives haven't forgotten this, but some of it's, you have to pull, right? Pull back some of this knowledge. So it would be really nice to hear your story around that.
Okay. Well, a lot of the understanding does come from how we're brought up. A great deal of our reserve was still bush when we were kids. There wasn't a lot of houses, and you're out through the day and you don't want to run home for a snack, So you begin to learn what is available, you know, from other kids or from aunties and uncles and grandparents that you can just pick and keep on going, right? And this is like the perfect time of year, like you said. There's tons of treats, and you know, as the summer moves on, the berries become available and that, and really that's where that safety of being connected to the land started and began to nurture. And I grew distant from it, and in my teens began to move back towards wanting to know more. I spent a little bit of time with Ellen White in Nanaimo. She offered a course through Malaspina at the time, where you just walk through the bush and she'd point at something and say, hey, this is this, and everybody would run over and smell it and taste it, and you know, you carry on. And then, you know, 10 more years went by, and I had a son, and this was just the launch point, really, was having a child. And he had a goopy eye, and sometimes babies are born with like underdeveloped tear ducts, and they get a little bit of mucus trying to push through whatever builds up in the tear duct. And I was embarrassed. This is my first child. People are like, oh, your baby, and everybody's saying, squirt your breast milk in his eye, and rub it with this, and go to the doctor. And I was thinking, okay, we'll try everything, you know. And then one person said, take a little bit of elderberry bark from a young elderberry bush, boil it for 5 minutes, put it in an eyedropper, put it in his eye. 3 days later, it was cleared up.
Wow.
And that was it. I was wowed myself. I said,
wow.
This is the kind of medicine that we need for our babies.
Yes.
The kind of medicine that doesn't have a long list of side effects, right? It does what it's meant to do. It doesn't kill things in the body. It heals with the body, right? And you know, he suffered a great deal in his first year with a number of illnesses, and developed a tolerance to antibiotics. And at this point, I've come to understand antibiotics in sort of cheapest to most expensive. And whenever you go to the doctor, they're going to give you the cheapest antibiotic first. Everybody's going for those cheap antibiotics, and if you have a tolerance to the first one, they'll give you the second one. If you have a tolerance to those ones, they'll give you the next one. And he's like maxed out his tolerance.
Oh, no.
And if you take those high-end antibiotics, they just trash your digestive system, you know, and then you have all the secondary issues, right? So I'm always reaching for other things first. So he's really the center of my desire for wanting to be involved more. And, you know, the growth, you know, started from there. As I started practicing things, mentors came, and opportunities came to build gardens and work with other people, and you begin to, you know, develop a network. And my network is, it just keeps growing, and it's amazing. You know, walk into a room and say, what do you feel like you know about plants? And there people sit there, I don't really know anything. You do. Mm-hmm. And between you, and me, we know so much. Mm-hmm. And that's how it's meant to be. Mm-hmm. It's not meant for one person, really. It's meant for all of us. All of us. And each little piece is an important piece, right? Yeah. Yeah. So over the last, you know, 7 years, taking each opportunity to learn and share, and then, you know, coming back to my grandma who says, yes, that's okay, no, that's not okay, that's too much, and then refining what it is that I share and coming back with that again. Mm-hmm. Because there's a, you know, there's a fine line of what we can share and what we shouldn't.
It's so true, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's so true, and about what's appropriate and not too, like from a physical perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Because it could be misused, or maybe it's used in ceremony in a certain way, and so we don't want people to know. I have to admit that I don't know very much, and I'm really curious if anyone, whoever's in Lakbala or Whiston, if you have, if you could just think for a minute about your knowledge of medicine and what maybe draws you to the plants and the medicine. So for you, it was your child that really drew you back to learn more and has become your nucleus in a way around it. And probably it's expanded. It's the person that takes care, that heals. Does anyone want to share a little bit about what draws them to plants and the medicines? I'm not going to force you if you don't want to right now, but if you can think about that maybe and hold it with you. Lakbala, did you want to share?
Good morning, this is Lakal. We just started in the spring where we started doing poplar buds. And we had an instructor, her name was Megan Olson. She started us about maybe 4 years ago. So we made it this year with just olive oil and the poplar buds. And now our home care department is starting to use it on their elders for a pain rub instead of buying prescription. I don't know what's out there for elders pain, but there's quite a few that I know my mother buys all the time. And she started using poplar bud oil as a pain rub, and it's working really good for our elders here.
Hi, Chika. Wow. Have you heard of poplar buds before?
That's
That's so
cottonwood
wonderful.
buds. We use a
Cottonwood.
cottonwood bud at the store.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome.
Did you want to start by talking about some of the things in a PowerPoint? Or how would you like to go next?
We could, I'd love to respond to this.
Yes, please.
Yeah. Just in response to the poplar bud oil, there's always like a new tool to work with. I found that somebody had posted a recipe for homemade Vicks online, and I thought, because the poplar bud oil works to reduce inflammation in the lungs when it's rubbed on the chest and the back, to pair it with this poplar bud oil and take this homemade Vicks and put them together, and then it would become more of like a natural remedy than a bunch of refined products put together. And it put that into like a nice little container and packaged it up, and people really find that it works for reducing congestion, just like a Vicks would. So you put it on the feet or you put it on the back, but it's really just a combination of the poplar bud oil, 50%, coconut oil, of course. Coconut oil is the most amazing thing.
Is that coconut oil as medicinal, or is it just to hold the other medicines?
It has medicinal properties,
Okay.
but it is a base.
Okay.
So it's both.
Okay.
And then a pairing of peppermint oil and lemon oil, and then some kind of mentholyptus. And I love to use camphor or camphor, and that's 1-to-1 with everything else. And this is super like vaporizing, yeah. And it's safe for like babies.
Wow.
Like Vicks is, right?
It would be. Would it work for something like arthritis? Like rheumatoid arthritis or arthritis, like the sore joints and stuff like that.
It might help with that.
Yeah.
There is not quite enough anti-inflammatory medicine in there,
Okay.
because you're cutting the cottonwood bud oil with the coconut oil.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right. That's really neat.
yeah, I love that. Is it cottonwood or is it a different kind of poplar?
It's cottonwood, I believe. I think it was
Must be
just
the
a
same.
misprint, because the trees that we get it from is cottonwood.
Awesome. Must be the same thing. About this way.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's really neat.
It's so available too. It's the one thing that's nice about it. It just falls from the trees
Everywhere,
yeah.
all the time. Like,
Yeah.
so you would take it now?
Well, there's
Because it's...
no you know in February when there's a big storm,
Mm-hmm.
not the tops of the trees knock off the best buds,
Mm-hmm.
and then they're just sitting on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like them in February, and then they haven't opened up yet. Now they're open.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So get them before they're pitchy.
Okay, and you'd pick them and then you would cook them to get them, or what would you do?
No, you just steep it in oil.
Okay.
Yeah, get a nice jar, and we usually use like a third buds and 2/3 oil.
Yeah.
And then you take that time to, over the next 30 days, to
Stir it.
stir it and, pray with it and leave it somewhere where you can see it. And then after 30 days, you'd steep out the buds and all the medicines in the oil.
Wow.
Yeah.
So does everyone write down that recipe? That's awesome. That's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're so available.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. We could work through
Okay.
some of the PowerPoint.
Some of the other PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to let me know if you can see this. I'm putting this up. And can you see it, everyone? Yes? Awesome.
Could I just clarify something for a minute with regarding the cottonwood seeds?
Mhm.
Did you say to get them before they get sticky?
Mhm.
Snappy?
Yeah. You sh-
Okay, because the ones we picked were sticky.
Yeah. They might be a little sticky, but it's nice to get them before they open up.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So this moves it forward. This is a beautiful picture. Is that you?
That's our annual cleanup at the Food and Medicine Garden.
Okay.
Yeah. Nadia Condovans took the photo.
It's
She's
gorgeous.
amazing. We do like an acre of blackberry cleanup every year.
Oh
Blackberries,
my God.
just the torture of
Of course.
Yeah.
That and Morning Glory.
Oh yeah. None of that there yet. Great.
Look at this beautiful picture of salmonberry.
So this is one of the newest projects of bringing traditional knowledge forward to like public parks.
Mm-hmm.
So working with Fraser Valley Regional District and the City of Chilliwack and Stala Research and Resource Management Center, and then working with an oral understanding of how salmonberry is a calendar.
Mm.
We're going to be putting this, this is a rough draft, but we're going to be putting this image into new signage for a few locations, park locations. And I'll just run through and explain it. I'm
Yeah.
curious to know if there's similar teachings elsewhere. So some berry species like the red flowering currant and the salmonberry are like hot pink beacons on the landscape, signaling change of seasons. So the red flowering currant, we call it spath F, which just translates to bear bush.
Mm-hmm.
Because when the
There's looking.
the hot pink flowers start dropping from that bush, we know that the bears are back out on the land. So with this one, the top signifies the spring flower, and when the spring flower comes, the springs or the Chinook start running up the Fraser River. So when those berries are ready, you also know that the shoots are ready, and we eat the shoots. Sathki. So
Just from the top?
the bush will send out shoots from the bottom.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the bottom ones.
Yeah.
The ones that would actually, like, you could actually pick and replant somewhere else if you could.
They're just coming off of the roots.
Okay.
So they're like a shoot off of the roots. I don't know if you can replant them, so I can't answer that
No.
question. But as the tree grows, part of it gets woody, and then it'll send off a new shoot.
Yeah.
And those, when they're nice and sort of flexible, they're edible too. Right. And the flower buds themselves, before the flower comes out, is good medicine too. In the spring, to boost the immune system. So the first part of the calendar is at the top, but recognizing that it's a cycle, right? And as the berry bush moves into forming berries, and the berries turn red, the sockeye, the summer early runs of the sockeye are coming, and as those berries age out and start to fall off the tree, or the bush, the later season sockeye are coming through, and then as the leaves die and fall from the bush, the late runs like the pinks and the chum are coming through the Fraser, and winter time, kind of this last little arrow there is the winter time, and then back into springtime again.
Mm-hmm. That's
Yeah.
lovely.
But to take that, we're bringing that understanding of interconnectedness and the importance of salmon returning, not only returning to the river, but the species that take the carcass and throw it in the bush, and they're hanging from the trees or lying on the beach somewhere, like those are equally important too, because you're nurturing the riparian, and we want to see this type of understanding shared with the government. So I was at the National Aboriginal Committee on Species at Risk session a couple of weeks ago, and I brought this out and I said, hey, let's talk about interconnectedness, because everything according to the provincial and the federal government is blocked out and segmented and
Its own
separated.
species, this is it, right?
Yeah, that's not the case, right?
Mhm.
And when we start to look at how things are connected, we can use indicator species to tell us how other species are, coming along or behaving, or how things are changing.
So would you say that the salmonberry then is an indicator?
It's an indicator.
Okay.
Yeah. It's an indicator of other plants being ready, like a lot of the shoots, like the edible shoots are ready when that pink berry is out.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's also an indicator that the Chinook are in the river.
Right.
So we'll call it a calendar.
Right.
Yeah.
So I've heard that term used when things are at risk. So if things are bad so it's an indicator species, that means there's other things that are going to be affected along the whole chain.
Right, like a keystone.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm wondering out there if anyone has a calendar like this, a salmonberry calendar. Is it relevant in Lillooet and Whiston or Lac Calsat? I've obviously said that wrong and I apologize. Or Adams Lake, if you have a similar kind of calendar with the salmonberry. And anyone on webinar.
Yeah, we in Dakota, we've never seen a calendar like this. It's really interesting to see one. It's really, the story is really awesome, I think.
Yeah, that's the best part of it. That's lovely. So, and the little text that goes with it, so this is what's going to be part of that, or is it just going to be visuals?
If it was up to me, it would be visuals, but we want it to be clear, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to include a little paragraph about each. These are just point form version, but we'll definitely include more on the side.
That's nice.
Because I think kids are so great at interpreting things, and things like this I love to do for kids. They could come along and they could just tell you what it means, right? A child, but an adult, we're so used to analyzing everything, we'll probably miss the point.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
Do you want to go over it?
sure.
Okay.
Let's see what else is up there. Oh, stinging nettle.
Oh, yeah. Is it too late for them?
Yes.
Yeah. We just missed them. Look at those beautiful things. In fact, my auntie just picked up a whole bunch of them about a month ago, right? Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, stinging
Wow.
nettle is found all over the world.
Yeah.
In the northern hemisphere, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
You go to England, you go to Russia, all over North America. It's a champion of a plant.
So what do you do with stinging nettle? Tell me about it.
Stinging nettle is exciting. So as you can see here, they have seed. They've begun to go to seed, like this. These little seeds right here.
Yeah.
And the seed tells us that the plant is no longer available for harvest.
Okay.
There's traces of cyanide in the plant when the seeds pop out.
Okay.
So we shouldn't be picking the leaves anymore. We shouldn't be harvesting for food. The plant is going through its rebirthing process. And they have both male and female flowers, so they're just going to do it all themselves. So that, I think, presence of cyanide is just like, leave me alone. Do your thing. Making babies. And the plant is such a giver. It's so generous. We say thuk thuk, thuk thuk, which is like poisonous, or it hurts you,
Right.
and that stage is so precious because early in its life stage, it's edible, it's medicinal. It acts as a you could dye your hair with it.
Really?
Treats you for allergies.
Okay.
And then in the end of its life stage, it's available for technological use. Like you can pound the fibers. We make rope out of it. They used to make diapers out of that fiber because it's really silky.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Fishing nets. And I mean, the rope is like key to survival, right? So stinging nettle is a very generous plant.
Wow.
This year was the first year I took stinging nettle and made it into a medicinal gummy. And you saw the gummy on the poster for this event. Because, I mean...
Like as in a gummy bear? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
taking the stinging nettle, boiling it into a decoction, a very concentrated tea, using that as a base to put in a number of other medicines, some local honey, and some gelatin to block the histamine receptors in our bodies so that we aren't battling ourselves in allergy season.
Wow.
Yeah, and the exciting part is because of the other medicines available in the gummy, its side effects included, sharpening your focus, relieving chest congestion, clearing up skin issues. Like it's all good medicine, but people found that after 3 days using the antihistamine gummy, which was a base of stinging nettle tea, that they didn't need their Reactin and their Claritin every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't use it, and I've had it, but like as a tea, or I've eaten it like spinach,
Oh yeah.
right?
Nice.
But I've never done that. Has anyone used stinging nettle before as an antihistamine or anti-allergy medication? That's really cool. So
It
you
is
do
so
that
cool.
now?
And the nice thing about the timing is that it's ready
When you need it.
when you need it. Yeah, nature's just sitting there ready to help.
So I'm wondering, I missed on video conference, so really nice to have you. Anyone using stinging nettle? And tell me, the tea that you can get that's dried, is that still useful? Would it still have some of the same kind of qualities?
I like to say that the shelf life of a tea, if it's dried and stored properly, is 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah, like you're gonna really, the nutrients and the
What?
vitamins are gonna deplete.
Right after
After.
that.
Yeah. It's still there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not in the same way.
Yeah.
Right. So do you dry? Do you hang them to dry? Like how do you dry them?
I freeze them.
You freeze them.
Blanch and freeze.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the nice things, and maybe this is happening in other places, that stinging nettle leaves have vitamin A and vitamin K in them. Lots of vitamin K. And one of the things, when a baby's born, one of the first things they do is they want to jam a vitamin K shot in the baby because they need it. And when...
I didn't even know there was a vitamin K.
Yeah, vitamin K for brand new babies.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So when a pregnant mother is getting ready, like a month leading up to having her baby, we'll have her drinking lots of stinging nettle tea to give the baby the vitamin K. Yeah.
Right. Anyone use stinging nettle out there? I have it.
Yes,
Yes?
yes, we are just learning how to use it too, and we're just wondering, would you be able to give us a recipe for that? The gummy.
The gummy?
What? Yeah, the gummy.
Yeah, for sure. I could. I guess these are the kinds of things that would go well in a PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Do you guys have like a sharing space? where
Yeah,
you
we can
send-
share it. We can
Yeah.
share when you have that. We can send it out to everybody.
Yeah.
If
The recipe itself came from a number of places. So Dr. Jeannie Paul,
yes,
who's amazing,
at Seabird. She's slamming though, right?
Slam, and yeah, she taught how to make tincture. And tincture is a vital ingredient in the gummy. And there needs to be a whole workshop around learning how to use tinctures. And I spent 9 months learning tinctures. So if you have access to a tincture in like a health food store, ginkgo biloba is one of the ingredients. And a juice. And the juice is got to be local. And the honey's got to be local. Because those are the same allergens that trigger your histamines in your body. So if somebody in Alberta or northern BC were to say, hey, let's try those antihistamine gummies, I'm going to say they're pretty local to the Fraser Valley and the Vancouver area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they wouldn't work the same. But I can definitely share the recipe. That'd be great.
That's really neat.
Yeah.
So maybe people could use their local stinging nettle and
Absolutely.
local.
I'll tell you, if you can,
local tinctures.
yeah, if you can make lemon meringue pie.
That's so different.
Gummies
That's
are,
like whipping eggs, isn't it?
well, no, because it's perfect timing in the
Oh, okay.
stirring and
Okay.
the temperatures. If
Okay.
you can make lemon meringue pie, if you can make the lemon for lemon meringue pie, the gummies are easier than that. The gummies are so easy.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Wow. I have a question about the nettles. I was reading that you have to be cautious with the stinging nettles for people who are diabetic because of the complex sugars in nettles. Is that true?
That's the first time I've heard that.
I haven't heard of that, but I don't know anything.
It'd be worth looking into. Yeah, I haven't heard that before. I know some people,
Okay.
they get like allergic to it if they eat it. Like, 1 in like 10 people I've seen, they kind of get like tingly in the throat from it.
But that's if you don't boil it enough.
We know full boil.
Because it stings before you.
Okay, I was just reading on the properties of stinging nettle, and it was in there. That's why I asked that question, because it was the first time I'd seen it as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I never heard that yet. I'll look into that too.
So Eileen here on webinar was talking about stinging nettle, and she said she made a fabulous tincture just decanted on the full moon.
Nice.
I can feel the energy right through the bottle.
Oh,
Wow, that's fantastic, Eileen. That's really great. So timing of when you do it on a full moon or not, does that have an impact?
some people work that way. I find I don't work that way. Yeah, but there can be like lunar infusions and things like that for sure. There's a response in the plant to us, and this is a big part of the work that I love to do. So the stinging nettle, I think its primary use is for the male anatomy. So its primary use is for men, and the very like ingestion of stinging nettle can boost testosterone.
Really?
Yeah, so ladies, maybe we shouldn't have so much.
Okay.
But the guys that are pumping iron and working out, they'll eat lots of it instead of kale. It is loaded with iron, the really absorbable iron. This patch in the photo was, it was small, and it was getting smothered by blackberries, and it went through, with good intention and prayer, clipped them off the tops, didn't pull them out of the ground, just clipped them off the tops. And then the next year I came back and they were all 10 feet high and as far as the eye could see. So I really believe in that response. Like they're a big family and they acknowledge our needs when we can acknowledge theirs. So going through and seeing things like this, and I would imagine that they're very connected not only to the moon but to the sun. And yeah,
That's really neat. That's really neat. Any more stories about stinging nettle before we move on to the next one? This is so exciting. I'm learning so much. And I didn't know, I heard people plant carrots or something at midnight or something. People actually really pay attention to that when planting gardens and things like that. So it absolutely makes sense that it would translate to our relationship with the other medicines in the landscape. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. What is this beautiful picture?
that's my front yard.
Okay, this looks like grass.
Those are
Is that frog?
it's lance leaf, plantain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's the frog leaf and there's the lance leaf,
Yeah.
and they have the same medicinal properties
Right.
in them. And I always say, and this was what I was taught, that the things that we need find their way to us. And if you have a yard, pay attention to what's in the yard, because sometimes the very things that you need, or the people in your house, or the people in your life need, show up in your yard. And this is what my yard looks like. My yard is lance leaf plantain and yarrow primarily.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us what it does.
So this is one that's also really widespread and readily available. Grows back really fast, and we're in a workshop with some elders, and they shared something that I thought was just vital in understanding how to work with plants, and that's, we consider plants that grow slowly and perfectly beautiful to be very special, right? Or plants that are rare to be more special in some cases, and plants that grow really fast are just weeds,
Right.
and that's, partially how they're teaching kids from like a kindergarten level. That's a weed, that's a flower. But really, when you have this type of plant that grows fast, it can work in the body quickly. So something like plantain, which grows quickly and can rebound from being stepped on or crushed or chopped off, can actually be included in a medicinal formula to increase the speed of efficiency.
Okay,
Right?
right.
So, I mean, plantain's great. It's a really good medicine for skin. A lot of people find if they have like sun bumps, like when the sun makes you itchy, you can chew it but don't puncture it, right? So chew it down till it's mushy, and then rub the juice on your skin. It can heal. Or if you have open wounds and no access to a Band-Aid, this one is great for that. Chew it, don't puncture it, pack it on there, wrap it up, and it'll close the wound, it'll kill the bacteria, and it'll help the healing speed up. It's edible, but it's
Doesn't taste good.
not pleasant.
No.
No.
So how come you have so much in your yard?
We had eczema in the house.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it helps
It helps eczema.
Nice.
Yeah. Also good for respiratory issues.
Yeah. And yarrow.
Yarrow. Yeah. Yeah. There's lots of yarrow in the house, and it was across the road, and I was just praying that it would come a little closer. And then I picked up yarrow's so easy to seed, and seeding is like this new. You know how like herbal medicines is sort of this like trendy thing, and we're all like, oh, let's try this. Seeding is becoming this trendy thing. So yarrow shoots up these nice flowers, and when they're dry, you just bang them, and ooh, you got yarrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think of yarrow as a medicine for the heart, as much as it is good for skin, good for the lungs. It's got this way of growing better once it's been trampled on. And I think the majority of us can relate to having our heart trampled on at some point.
Right.
It's just a part of life. It's a part of life. But what happens when yarrow is trampled on is it actually grows back better. So if you have some yarrow, go out and walk on it and watch it flourish. And in that gesture of watching the yarrow grow back faster after having been, smushed down, we can translate that like emotionally to ourselves in a good way. Yarrow goes in all of my muscle medicines and skin medicines because it's so good for the skin, and it's got anti-inflammatory properties in it too.
I can't see yarrow in there.
Oh no,
No. Like, yeah, does it, because I was just like looking at that picture and I actually don't see yarrow.
it's not in that picture.
Okay,
Sorry.
okay. She's like, oh, where did it? So everyone knows what yarrow looks like, right? Does everyone know what yarrow looks like? Hands up if you know.
Some guys, just a couple.
You know. Oh, everyone knows.
Yeah.
Kind of, it's like that.
This could be any plant. It's got either white or pink flowers.
Or yellowish sometimes.
Oh really?
Yeah, white.
White or yellowish or pink.
Pink
flowers. But it looks like a bristle.
Yeah.
Stiff little bristle.
Yeah,
like
and
a,
they can
a
get
bottle
tall.
bristle.
Right?
The flower will grow tall.
Yeah. So, and it's the flower part that you use, or is it?
I use the fresh shoots.
the fresh shoots
Mhm.
again. All right, and oil. So
Oh.
you do oil with all, or you tramp on it first and then.
Oftentimes with the skin medicines,
Yeah.
I will cook them in a slow cooker into coconut oil.
Okay.
So over the course of a couple of hours on low heat, infusing the medicine into the coconut oil.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
She's a wealth of information. Can we stop here just for any questions? Does anyone have any questions about anything that we've talked about so far? And I realize that time is going really quickly, but anyway, just to say, any questions, anyone, before we move on? And I'm just looking on webinar right now to make sure that I get theirs.
Hi.
Well,
I just
Hello.
had a question.
Hi.
Question? So, yeah, I just had a question there about, I see that you mentioned there like wild rose bushes there, and something that I was just showing yesterday, and that was about the green parts of wild rose bushes. And that was that it was used for a pain reliever.
Mm.
And the way that he was showing me is that he crushed up the green parts of it and made it almost like a poultice. And it could be used for like bee stings, mosquito bites. He even told me that if you chew it there, you could use it for like say an abscess or something like that inside your gums. I'm not sure. Like that's the first time I heard it. So I'm just wondering if you know any more about that.
Rose bush. I'm more familiar with rose as like a seasonal tonic from the root than I am as a painkiller. But it reminds me of the doctrine law of signatures. Have you heard of the doctrine law of signatures? Is that
No,
No.
I haven't.
it's a principle that can be applied to plants where the physical appearance of a plant, whether it be the structure or the color,
Right.
can be an indicator for the body system or ailment it's useful for. So when I think of a rose, I think of those thorns, right? And when you think of pain, you think of what it feels like to be stung by a thorn. And what's interesting is that a lot of plants that have thorns are great for pain. So I'm curious about that as well. I haven't heard of roses for pain, or the green part of roses for pain. But that's great.
That's really neat. I haven't heard of that either. Intuitively, I think rose, the red part, for the heart, or
The hip?
or the hip, or even the petals.
Oh yeah.
We just made some tea with some rose petals, and we were told that the rose petals were good for women in particular because of the red blood and the connection to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, more familiar with the hips than anything else,
Yeah.
and the root. But that's good to know. Sometimes I find that different people have their own connection to plants, and the plants will tell people what they can use it for, and that individual relationship is like a type of chemistry between the person and the plant. And different people would use, like plantain, for example, for something completely different than what I use it for. Yeah.
Should we move on to another couple of plants? I also just had one more, another nettle story which I wanted to share in here. There's some really good stuff here. Eileen says, another little nettle share. For the first time this year, I dried some nettles. Hold on, if I could, for making, oh, no, my goodness. Dried some nettles for making, into powder to add to juices and smoothies.
Awesome.
That's really neat.
Mm-hmm.
A friend recommended grinding it just before using rather than ahead of time, as it will be more potent. That's really neat too. Yeah. And yarrow as a tea stimulates the lymph.
Oh, nice.
The lymph nodes. The lymph nodes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's really neat.
Nice.
I recognize that one.
This is a beauty. Yeah. So we call this makum. Makum. And makum just describes where it grows, really. Some other names for it, Labrador tea,
Yeah, along the river.
or like a bog tea,
Yeah,
swamp tea,
yeah.
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 This is, I mean, and I like to use this one as an example because it's one of the more precious, hard to find plants these days. I know a lot of Stalo people would go down to Tawasin into the bog for their harvest, and they've just leveled the bog, and you know, they're building a mall or something like that.
Right.
But in asking, like I went right to people from Tawasin and said, did you guys know there was like Stalo and Katesi people coming down to Tawasin to harvest Labrador tea? And they were like, no. And I think that's an important part of how we can revitalize these networks.
Yeah.
You know, hard to find plants in my neighborhood might be easy to find plants in somebody else's neighborhood, and we can keep each other in mind through our ties to keep these plants in abundance, right? Labrador tea is so nice because you can drink it. You could drink a cup a day. It's really good for digestive issues. But if you're just having a cup of tea, its flavor is really nice. We do need to be careful if we're like low on iron or we're prone to iron deficiency, not to drink too much because it can deplete iron levels if you're just sitting there drinking cups and cups of it, right? But the habitat where it grows, that's being threatened. Lowland bogs are getting harder and harder to find. Yeah, it needs that peat bog to grow really well and to flourish. So we recently saved a big patch of it from the new Interior to Lower Mainland Hydro project. They were just going to plow the hydro project right through the bog, and with ATVs. They were going to they're going to build a new tower, string the cable to the tower, and drive through the bog. So we went through with GPS, and we went through with flagging tape, and we flagged it off, and we sent them the coordinates, and we checked on them every week. You didn't drive through our bog, did you? Stay away from our bog. You know those flagging tape. And when they dropped the trees, when they dropped the trees for their new project, they literally dropped them right on the flags. They stayed right around.
Nice.
So building relationships with industry around, you know, our protected areas is really important. And this plant in particular is very important during ceremony season. People crave it, so it's good to know where things are. And to know how to protect them, and to know who's doing what in your, you know, kind of in your own backyard, and then you can make sure things are okay.
Is there any around our way, Cheam and Seabird? There's some
there
boggies
used-
and sloughs and
yeah.
stuff around there.
There's little patches of it here and there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if we leave them alone, I think they'll flourish. I was out by Harrison, and my friend and I were doing a survey, and we could smell it. And it's got a very distinct smell. We're like, I'm smelling makum. Do you smell makum? And he says, yeah. And we looked up, and they were way up. They were way up, like 10 feet tall. And they're a really low-growing bush, so we were so surprised. A lot of people still go to the Burns Bog for them, but continuing to feel like it's threatened by pollutants, right?
Well, the Musqueam are named as keepers of the Maquam, I believe, and I might be wrong about that, but I think that's part of the whole story of the two-headed serpent and along the water. I'm just talking about this territory here, and the plant was about protectors of this plant.
Oh, it's
the
such a-
Maquam.
Awesome.
And it's my understanding, but I'm not sure if the spelling and everything's the same. I'm not sure, but this is the story I heard. So that's neat.
Yeah, there's a mountain variety of it
Yeah.
that we have to go really far.
Do you have
to
any
find.
in Weston area, Labrador tea? Do you have any there, or in Adams Lake? Have you seen this plant up there?
Every year. We pick, in La Cosette, we pick Labrador tea every year.
Yeah.
And we find that it's really popular with our elders to drink during flu season.
Oh, neat. Oh. How about Adams Lake? Anyone in Adams Lake? I know you're afraid of the mic.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to. It's okay. And Whiston, do you have it up there? Do you have it around Lillooet?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay,
Nice.
awesome. Okay, that's good.
It's popular. It's so good, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just had some at the burning this weekend. Okay, I don't know what that is.
So this is miner's lettuce.
Okay.
And this is part of the snacks on the trail.
Right.
There's a few varieties of miner's lettuce, but I find that this, commonly known as Siberian miner's lettuce, is the tastiest one. And if you're coming along through your hike and you're stopping for something to eat, this one's really, it's succulent, it's really juicy. It tends to grow where there's lots of water running. It's more
Looks like there's
filtered.
oak trees around there.
Maple.
Maple.
Hmm. And it'll grow at varying elevations. It's tastes the most like lettuce, but you could harvest them and put them in a salad at home. You could eat them as is or throw them in a smoothie. They don't keep very well and they bruise really easily, but they're really they're very friendly for children. Like to introduce children to something too. That
On the trail.
yeah, kids will just go crazy for them because they kind of crunch a little bit too. Yeah.
My daughter likes the licorice roots.
Oh, yeah.
She's always eating lots of those. Favorite trail food. Should we go to the next one?
Sure. There it is.
What is that?
That's licorice fern.
Oh, that's the licorice fern. There, I didn't even recognize it.
Mhm.
Okay, there we go. So it's the root underneath, right?
Right. So we, wow, there's so much good things about licorice fern. We tend to use it as like a mouth cleaner, right? So in the wintertime, it's available all year round, but you can harvest the tips, the green tips, and chew them up, and they act as an expectorant. So they'll draw the mucus out, and then you can spit it out. But it's cleaning your mouth, disinfecting your mouth at the same time. It makes a great stomach pain and discomfort relief tea. So in this picture, I've said, leave this part in a forest. The spores are located on the undersides of the leaf, much like you'd see on a sword fern.
Right.
And you kind of want to bang them off and leave them there, rub them on the moss, because they grow in the moss on the side of the maple tree. And in our part of the world, it's everywhere and it's readily available. And we have to be, I think we have to be careful how we go about it. I remember posting this on my medicines page, and 4 days later having 10,000 hits. I had never seen anything like that.
Wow.
I said, why do I have 10,000 hits on this image? And really, what's going to happen because of those hits?
Yeah, it's the people over harvest, right?
Yeah, and I kind of reined things in and thought, well, if we're going to be sharing information, it's got to be the right information. We can't just say, oh, this will help with inflammation, canker sores, cold and flus, and go get some. I can't be responsible for people being, sick or hurt. So when they're so removed,
Yeah,
right?
from it. So it's just
Yeah, but this is an example of something that I'm working on long term, learning as I go, really. But the taste is so nice. The taste is so nice and it's soothing. It mixes really well with makung.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it also mixes
For
really,
tea, you mean?
really well with rose hips.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the kids, like, they used to take a lot of it and mash it up, and they'd mash it up and they'd make like a stringy taffy out of it. A long time ago, that was their candy.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and it's super easy to harvest. So when when we go through and we harvest it, we'll of course make an offering, and then open up a little bit of moss and tease it out of the moss, and just break it off where we need it, and then close the moss back up. Rub some of those spores on the moss, and they just keep coming.
Love
They're
it.
great.
Like mushrooms.
Yeah, we just clip them off and they keep coming.
What's that?
How do you identify the licorice fern?
It'll be the only fern growing on the sides of maple trees. So if there's, you know how there's like a mossy side of the tree, or the tree's laying flat and there's moss, they grow in the moss. Or like they grow on the side of a rock. And they won't grow more than like 6 to 10 inches in length. They won't grow more than that. Yeah. So when you're peeling away the moss, the part that you want is bright green.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's salamanders in there.
Oh, I haven't come across that.
They like it in there too.
Mm.
Yeah.
We can see the notes for the top part of the root there. That's the bright green part that you're talking about?
This?
When you peel away the moss, what is that part used for?
That's the part that you eat. It says chew. It says it must say chew it up. Chew it up.
Chew it up. Yeah, so it's the soft. And then the other part's for tea. So the other part of the root is tea. And then the top part you just try to leave.
One part,
Yeah.
and the rest is for tea.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions around licorice root? Maybe we can go through a couple of more, and then maybe we can ask if people have some of theirs from their territory,
Yeah.
which would be really nice. Any snacks?
Right. Chapstick. So chapstick's pretty is pretty easy to make, and I made some this past Christmas, including some local herbal medicines, and it was really good. You can flavor them with your own essential oils. We used vanilla and peppermint oil. But it's the medium, right? If you have these little containers, you can put your healing salves in them, and it can become like a to-go polysporin in your purse. And the ratio of beeswax to oil determines how thick it is.
So where do you get beeswax from?
You can sometimes get beeswax from the honey farm. But you probably have to cut it up or grate it, and that's a lot of work. But you can get pellets online. So long as your source is clean, like if they say,
Because often it's just petroleum, right? Like
yeah,
it's
you
gas.
want to make
want-
sure
it's
it's
beeswax.
absolutely 100% beeswax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were describing a recipe. Sorry,
Oh.
I interrupted.
Right. So, like you can put your cottonwood bud oil, your poplar oil into a chapstick. You could put your plantain and your yarrow into the chapstick. I love to plant calendula in the spring, and and include calendula and anything antibacterial and anything antibiotic. It absolutely cures infection. So anytime you've got like open sores, calendula in a salve will help heal that. Yeah, but this is very accessible, right? These little containers, you know, those are like bead storage containers.
Oh, right, you
These
just
are
put it in there.
These are like for mini candles, and those are just chapstick containers. But you take your medicines and you want to store them, right? You want to store them and make them accessible. So storing them in coconut oil and beeswax, cooking them down. I have a slow cooker that's special for medicines, and it's you know, it's
Like
just
you're
an
talking
easy
like one of those plug-in slow cookers. You just put one of those on.
Yep, you put that on. You want your
What's your ratio? 1 to 1?
1-to-1.
Yeah.
Yep. I'll do plants 4-to-1.
Okay.
4 parts plant, 1 part oil, and just cook it down for like 2 hours.
Right.
Yeah. And after that, you're gonna have these crispy plants, and there's not gonna be any medicine left in them. So
Yeah.
they're not really useful for anything after that. It smells good. Yeah, it smells really good.
Nice. So let's open up for a few questions, and maybe you could share, anyone can share some medicines that, or things that are in your territory that you know about. So we'll do this for a few minutes, and then, pardon me? Oh, do we want to share a video clip? Do you want to share the video clip? Okay, so maybe you can think about some medicines. I'm going to share a video clip. Sorry, Shauna just talked to me. Leah, video clip, I forgot. Okay, so we have a video clip to show you, and then we'll take a few questions, and then we have Carrie, Charlie, and Willow Vixen here to talk for a few minutes to tell you about UBC Summer Science and how we'd love for you to spread the word to the youth in your community, this opportunity. So I am going to see about pulling up this video. See if you can see it. Hopefully you can.
Oh, I had books too.
Oh, and books. You want to show the books while I get this out?
Yeah. So, anything by Nancy Turner is amazing. I met Nancy Turner last week at in Lytton. Were you guys there? Who's in Lytton? Did you guys see Nancy Turner? Oh my gosh, my hero.
Oh, there, you were there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were there too. Literally like dropped everything and went
nice.
to Lytton to meet Nancy because
She does
she's
a lot of medicine, hey?
yeah, she's just a pillar of wonderfulness.
Yeah.
So these are 2 books I found very useful in just confirming, right? Books are great for confirming knowledge and extending knowledge. So I heard, oh, stinging nettle makes great rope. And I was like, gee, how do you do that? And nobody knew how to make rope, and it's in the book,
Oh, okay.
right?
And this is our knowledge, right? This is First People's knowledge that
Yeah,
she's translated
primarily
into here.
West Coast.
This is what this West Coast and interior knowledge, right? This is our knowledge that she's just taken those stories and putting them in here.
She does it so well.
Yeah.
So humble.
Yeah.
This is a book that was gifted from somebody. Somebody dear to me, Wild Rose and Western Cedar. What's nice about this book is that there's recipes in it. So great pictures of plants, what's edible, what's medicinal, and then recipes. And this one focuses mainly on the West Coast too. Different kinds of like old recipes. And this is another Nancy Turner Thompson Ethnobotany course. That one is mainly focused on the interior, but we have a great deal of the same.
That would be like Lytton area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people up there too. Yeah.
right. And then Our people are putting together bits of information here and there, and this is just an example of something the elders did. Elders who've passed on now. But it's just as easy as having people share their understanding of the traditional name, and then what the plant would do, and then how to prepare it. And you eventually are building your own little book together,
Yeah,
right?
that knowledge.
I'm putting together a book. It's at the printers, forever
Nice.
at the printers.
Nice.
But it's more developed for a field guide, and it doesn't have recipes or methods for use in it. It just describes
Identifying.
the Halcomelum name, the Latin name, a photograph, where it grows, and the body system or use. And that's for like asserting our right. So if we say to industry, oh, we have a great deal of plant use in that area, and they say, can you prove it? I'm just gonna hand them the book and say, you can buy the book. and there are 200 plants in that book, right?
Yeah.
And all they have to do is look up the biogeoclimatic zone to see where are they looking, what's growing there, and all the listed uses of it. Ceremonial use, traditional use, food, nutrition, medicine, body systems and that.
Nice.
Right? And some folk medicine. Earth medicine, earth food. This one's full of folk medicine from different parts of
North America.
Yeah, North America, but there's a lot here locally as well. And this one's, I don't know if you can see it, but it'll focus on a health issue or an ailment, sometimes a disease, and then just list all the plants that help with that.
Okay, neat.
Yeah, and you can just go for what's in your neighborhood,
Yeah.
right? Or what's in your health food store, things like that. And if you can't find something in a health food store or your own backyard, it's online.
It sure is. It's so much nicer, though, I have to say, to have a relationship with it on the land. I mean, that's what's so nice about this time of year, is actually starting to see all of these things come up. So let's do the video, and then we'll have some last questions. And let me see if, I'm hoping this will work, and somehow I'm seeing it not work. So, if it's not working, like it's not up there, let me just see if there's something I can do. It may not work, so I might just have to share the link with you.
It's all set up, you just push.
I did, but it's somehow not playing. Somehow not playing. Yeah, so it's all right. Do you see anything right now on your screen?
It doesn't look like
No?
you're seeing anything.
Nothing? Okay. Let's see if we can make it work here. Pressing a button. Beautiful, lovely pictures. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. It's not meant to be. And we can send you the link to look at it. Huh. Okay, we don't know. We can't make it work. It's beautiful though. There's some beautiful images. So what we'll do is we'll send you the link. We'll make sure that we put the link on our website. And those of you that are on, we'll put the link because it is on Vimeo. So you can watch this beautiful video with gorgeous color and a beautiful child.
Yeah, it's all about bringing youth out on the landscape and helping them understand how they can doctor themselves up or eat out there.
Yeah, love that. Love that. Sorry about that, everyone. Okay, so let's have some last questions. We're almost out of time anyway.
Okay.
So any last questions or about some of the medicines that you have in your territory or anything that you have questions about?
Carrielynn, can we get your email so that we can ask questions and pick your brain once in a while?
Sure. Absolutely. We can send that along. Or do you want me to just do it now?
Yeah, we can share, I have a page on Facebook where I share seasonal activities. I don't often share specific recipes there, but I would be happy to do that through an email. And we can share my email address. I love questions because they always lead to learning something for everybody, really.
We can't utilize Facebook on our computers at work, so that's why I asked for an email.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We can email them the email.
Yeah, so we will email you the email. How's that?
Sounds
We'll make sure that you get it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, some of our workers do use Facebook at home, so that's convenient for them as well. Thank you.
We have a question from webinars. What's your book going to be called? And when is it going to be available?
Well, the book is called Food, Medicine, and Technology Plants of South Tamil. And South Tamil is our way of saying our world. So food, medicine, and technology plants of South Tamil. I have been trying to get this book printed in a waterproof version for 2 years.
Oh, because you wanted people to take it with them on the trail.
If you can't take your book outside and drop it in a puddle and still use it, it's not very useful. If you can't leave it in your car and beat it up. So I'm just wanting to get the best quality possible.
Yeah.
So I don't have a timeline, unfortunately. We're still waiting for the right fabric. But
Okay.
the rest of the book is ready to go. We just need the covers done.
Great. Well, maybe we'll have you back on when the book is ready.
Yeah, we can advertise the book.
We can advertise the book.
Yeah.
You have lots of knowledge to share. Any other questions before we end this portion and have Carrie and Willow speak with us?
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, hi. I'm Rhonda and I'm at Adams Lake. So I have a question. Is there plant or tea or food that would help a woman maybe increase her milk supply if she's breastfeeding and feeling like she's not producing enough milk? And then the flip side of that, when she's ready to wean her baby from breastfeeding, is there something that she can use to help decrease her milk supply? And then a second question, are there any upcoming workshops or whichever that you'll be doing in the future?
Mm-hmm. You know, stinging nettle can help in boosting milk production, but as far as weaning goes, I mean, there's medicine that can alter the taste of the milk so the baby doesn't like it, but really, like, I have differing views on weaning, so I haven't looked into that much. And then the workshops are booked annually. Like, I did my final workshop of the season yesterday, and now we're into paddling season. So the workshops can be booked in March and April, and I generally just go with the flow on the bookings. So whoever's booking them and wherever they're booking them, and I go there. I don't have enough time to kind of produce and host my own workshops, or I would most certainly invite you I know Adams Lake has been really generous with workshops for our people from our community, and they still buzzing about the cedar root harvesting and birch bark baskets that they made a few years ago. So unfortunately, the answer is no workshops coming up.
One last question. Anyone else? Carrielynn, what a pleasure to sit with you.
It's nice to sit with you.
You are with the medicines.
Everybody.
It's really nice, and it's really nice to have everyone here too.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's really great. So, Heichka, thank you. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for keeping the knowledge going and sharing it so beautifully as well.
Good. Thank you. And thank you all
Yeah.
for joining in.
So, Carrie and Willow, do you want to squeeze in here just for 5 minutes or so? You can come in, or we can squeeze over. They can just take off the
have a warm
screen,
spot.
and they can just introduce yourselves. There you go. Can you see yourselves in the screen?
Yeah.
And I'll let you just share. Are you okay with that?
Yeah.
All right.
We're kind of doing this ad hoc because weren't sure when we were going to be able to get on here, but we just wanted to make a plug for our UBC Summer Science Program. This will be the 28th year. We're taking applications for youth from around the province to come to UBC for a week in beginning of July 3rd to 9th is the first session, and the second session, that's for grades, people going into grade 11 and 12, and then the second session is July 10th to 16th, and that's for youth going into grade 9 and 10, right? I think, yeah, I keep forgetting. I've been doing this for 8 years, you'd think I'd remember. 8. Those going into grade 8 through 10. Yeah. And the last year, usually, we've taken 20 students a week, but last year we had a donor, and we were able to start expanding to add 8 more students to the numbers each week. So now we're accepting 56 students for the summer. So we have maybe 20 applications or so in right now, and we're still taking, the deadline was April 30th, but we're going to extend it probably another 2 weeks to May 14th, and to allow people time to submit applications.
All right, well, that's a little bit of the logistics. My name's Willow Thixon. I'm Anishinaabe, Cree, and Métis, kind of a prairie, I don't want to say expat because that's the wrong word. I'm a guest here. And I have worked with UBC's Summer Science Program, and if you don't know a lot about it, it is kind of hosted by the Faculty of Medicine to try and engage youth to pursue post-secondary generally. I am biased and want students to enter science because I love science and I love medicine. But it's really nice because they work hand in hand with an elder, so they make plant medicines, they go and harvest plant medicines, make medicine pouches, have made salves in the past, have made teas in the past. So it's a really nice hybrid cultural experience, as well as kind of gaining some confidence being in a post-secondary institution, because a lot of these youth come from really far away places, and it's terrifying coming from res, and then all of a sudden, like, UBC campus is bigger than most reserves, or small towns. What do you mean you have 4 restaurants? It gets a little bit daunting, but to come with a whole bunch of youth your age, or as our elder likes to say, young adults, they are not children, because they can think on their own, and it's a really good experience. We've had a lot of kids come back, and I actually see them throughout the year at different things that I do with Inspire and all over the place with the youth at Yanya, and they love it and they want to come back every year. So it's a really great experience for them to come and get a little taste of it. But we all either have kids or know kids that have, know people that have kids. We are really good at making babies. So there are programs like this throughout the Lower Mainland, but one thing that I think UBC has that other programs don't is like 28 years. We have this lockdown. This program, as I don't know, I hope to continuously work with it and for it throughout the rest of my second undergrad. We'll see. But shameless plug, you guys can apply online. It's a really easy application. If you go to the Center of Excellence website,
Which is very accessible from the Learning Circle website.
yeah, you can just click on the summer science and it's easy. You can click the apply button and it's all online. So once we get the application, there's some follow-up, what is it?
There's some policies and things.
There's some policies and follow-up, like we need a report card, but that can be handled after. We just need that online application and we'll
Yeah.
follow up if we're missing things.
Yeah.
So it's pretty straightforward if you guys want to pass that note along. I don't know if you guys have received the email from me or the fax. I've sent it to a bunch of different, like, I thought every band, but that's really,
Repetitively.
yeah, that's really hard for me to say that I've sent it to every band because, yeah, that's hard.
Yeah.
But if you want, we can send you a little poster that you can post up so that parents can see or so that you can distribute in your newsletter, which is what some bands have been doing, or distribute to high school students that you know.
And it's kind of an interesting process because what the students have to do is they fill out the application form. It's pretty much, they go through the motions of what they do if they were actually applying to UBC. So once they've applied to the program, it's kind of like they've gone through it already. So if, you know, when they do apply for college or university, they'll have already some experiential knowledge of what's involved and they were successful at it because they were able to come. So they have two references they need from like a family member or a coach or a teacher or whoever, and who knows them, and then their latest report card, and their application, and then they write a little letter of intent, why they want to come to summer science and what their long range hope is for careers and stuff. Yeah, and I just wanted to also say, I didn't introduce myself, my family's from Cheam First Nation out in Pitt Meadows, and I'm a PhD student in education right now, and I have a lovely daughter who's also working with plants. And I have a question, actually.
All right, can we move over just a bit, because I actually want to do close a little bit more.
So my question is, I harvested a whole bunch of nettles a month ago, and I made spanakopita and pesto and stuff. Yeah, and I have a bag, I still have a bag in my fridge, so now I'm like a little worried about the cyanide. If they've been picked already, they'll still be okay if they've been in the fridge for a month?
Are they not moldy?
No.
No? Oh yeah, they'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
They're
Great.
only when they grow to the point that the seeds come.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not going to seed in the fridge.
No.
No.
Oh, hopefully not. They look fine.
Spanakopita sounds amazing.
It was, yeah, it is really good. Yeah, I highly
That's
recommend
really
it.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Willow and Carrie, for all your work with Summer Science. I'm hoping that everyone will be coming to Summer Science. Hajka again, Carrielynn, for your knowledge. I also just wanted to let everyone know that on May 5th, if you have a young man, we have in school, we have a learning circle, a very special one called Stand Up Warriors Called to Action. And it's going to be hosted at Langley at the theater there. And we have hip hop artist Warren Hooley, who will be facilitating. We have Preston Gounod from Carrier Territory, Willie Charlie from Kwantlen, Curtis Clearsky,
Willie Charlie from Stainless.
maybe he's from Staelis, Kwantlen Nation Elder Lakatim will be on the panel. This will be for guys to talk about what it is to be a warrior in modern day. It's going to be video conference learning circle from there, from Langley. So if you know any young men, it is during school, so we're trying to get to all the districts to let them know. We have the advertising on our website. If you have an opportunity to share that knowledge, that would be great. May 10th, we have a circle on falls and prevention. May 18th, bug sprays and lotions with naturopathy. So you would be probably very interested in this. And May 24th, Ernie Cardinal will be doing something with co-occurring disorders again. And Mark Point, who is a PhD from Stalo Nation, he's talking about increasing Aboriginal student success and the role of grandparents in Aboriginal student success. So some really wonderful lessons. Thank you, Hajka, to Shauna and Davina, who regularly host the Learning Circle. Thank you for eHealth. FNHA for all their help behind the scenes, and Hajka to all of you for all of your good work. Go enjoy the beautiful day. Thank you on webinar as well.
Thank you.